Hi everyone, my name is Anna. So this is the milk tooth. Now, I guess with my work, there's really three things that fit together. So firstly, there's the concept, then there's the three-dimensional shape, and then there's also the surface. So in my work, I can't really separate those three things. They work kind of all together. So with the concept for a lot of my work, I'm looking at objects that give you a feeling of nostalgia. So it's that feeling of a memory that is at the same time painful, but also pleasurable. And it's not kind of big things like wedding rings and that kind of thing. They're kind of unremarkable things. So stuff that we just have around us. So it could be something like, things that are on a dressing table that you've packed up, put away, and then get out years later. And it sparks that feeling, oh yeah, that I remember that. That's that little tube of something that, it reminds you of a particular time. The other thing, so there's objects, but the other thing, there are also, I guess, body parts. That sounds strange, but for this one, I was focusing on teeth, so milk teeth. I've also looked before at hands as well, and that really links back with this kind of female experience of embroidery that's in my family, but that's another story. But yeah, for this one, I was looking at milk teeth. So milk teeth being a symbol of, I guess, childhood, of memory, of those things we keep that we kind of have around, but what do we do with them? And looking into different traditions around keeping milk teeth. So some people put them inside a wall, so put them inside brick cavities. And I guess that's where this kind of idea came from. So in terms of the shape of this garment, for me, because I'm primarily a fashion designer, and also my job is in lecturing garment design and construction design, that is something that I'm immersed in all the time. So for me, the shape of something and the way that it's made is really important. So I really enjoy three-dimensional pattern cutting. So it's a kind of experimental way of pattern cutting where you use the mannequin as a three-dimensional form. For this piece, I was looking at a process of using cutaway darts. So I guess for those of you that sew, you'll know that the kind of most common form of a cutaway dart is a French dart, but you can use many other kind of structures. So this is a pattern for half of this garment. So usually I start in a miniature form, so I make small ones in fabric and in paper, and then I build up to the bigger size. So with this project, because it was about teeth, I wanted to make cutaway darts that then form these kind of teeth shapes. So you can see there's like kind of fangs, I guess, that stick out of the garment. So once you join these darts together, you end up with this kind of sculptural shape. So the actual pattern itself is very simple. So really it's just 4 pieces. So I could replicate this as not a jacket, but it could become a dress, it could become a shirt. But yeah, it's really just 4 pieces that get sewn together using the dart construction method. So that was the sleeve. So you can see, I mean, it's very tiny, but you can see that sort of shape. This one is the main section. So that's the collar there. All right, so that's the shape. So in terms of the surface, so for me, the surface and the shape really need to knit together. So looking at things like memory, and this does connect to my family heritage of embroidery. So I'm Hungarian, and so embroidery is like a major thing, and I do a lot of embroidery with my aunties. And I do different stitches, but for this one I decided to use a chain stitch because I wanted to create this kind of surface of maps. So like memory maps that are like overlapping and linking and twisting. And the chain, because it's that idea of things that link together. So nostalgic memories that link together. And sometimes those memories are like distorted. Sometimes they are unreliable as well. And then as well, I have the teeth. So my father is a ceramic artist. And weirdly, our forms that we make kind of end up quite similar, strangely. And I think it's just from being around him my whole life and seeing those forms come about that my work has kind of ended up in a similar sort of 3D shape. But yeah, so he helped me make these little teeth. He wouldn't do them for me. He said I had to do every single one of them, but he showed me how to do one. Then he squashed it and said, now you do it. And then he fired them for me. So yeah, they're like, hundreds and hundreds of tiny little teeth. What else? Oh yeah, and cording. So cording's the other one, which is a very old-fashioned technique. You see it a lot in quilting, so trapunto, Italian quilting. But I love cording because I feel like I can draw with the sewing machine. So it's a really organic experience where I kind of draw with the stitch line, push the cording in, do another one, and then I can create spaces, and it really creates that kind of volume in my work. So yeah, that's the milk tea.
Oh, magnificent.